Welcome into the DNVR Madness Selection Sunday special. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm Henry Chisholm from DNVR Buffs. We've got Ben Gerding also from DNVR Buffs. We've got Justin Michael from DNVR Rams, and we're just going to be hanging out here as we figure out what is going on with this NCAA tournament. I can't think of a better way to spend this next hour or two than with you guys. If I'm being honest, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited. You know, we've been having this kind of stuff in the works for a while now, but being able to finally have it in fruition is big, especially because last year we were talking about doing similar things, and obviously with the world imploding, we couldn't. So today we're coming to you live. We'll be able to break down everything with live reactions, and it should be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I feel like you guys are in a much better spot than me right now. The Buffs pretty comfortably in the field. I guess nobody is technically a lock at this point unless you win the conference tournament and get the auto bid, but there's no doubt about Colorado being in the field. Colorado State, that's not the same position, unfortunately. So it's going to be a sweaty hour for the next, I don't know, everybody that's rooting for CSU. If you're not shoveling, you're going to be sweating, and you might be sweating even if you are shoveling. So it's going to be a weird day.
Yeah, let's start right there and dig into this Rams team, just for, the Buffs fans who are hanging out with us and who are going to have to be paying attention to the Rams stuff for the next hour and a half, but also for just like the casual fans who tuned in, who are CSU fans. What happened this season? Where did they start? Where did they go? It seemed like they were in great shape a couple weeks ago, but now they're maybe on the outside looking in. Let's just get this whole season recap.
Yeah, I mean, it's been certainly an interesting season for Ram Nation, a season to remember. I mean, it's been frustrating at times, a lot of adversity. I mean, right off the bat, almost the entire team gets COVID. They get delayed 3 weeks. They lose a bunch of quality games against Pac-12 opponents. They were supposed to host Richmond. None of that ends up happening. That's a total bummer. They come back. They win a couple of easy games. Then they score 33 points on the road at St. Mary's. Everybody's panicking. Everybody thinks the season's over, but they respond, man. They respond. They win 10 of 12 games, including road wins at San Diego State, the largest comeback in Mountain West history, one of the top 5 wins in college basketball this season, according to some of the metrics, just based on the win probability and all that. Absolutely insane. They beat Utah State on the road. They beat Boise State at home. Only team in the Mountain West not to get swept in the 2-game format. 14 league wins, most ever by a Rams team. And they don't have any bad losses. They're 14-0 in quad 3 and quad 4 games. And if you're a CSU fan holding on to hope right now, it's the fact that they have those 2 road Q1 wins, which hopefully, should hold some weight in the eyes of the selection committee. And it's, 14-0 in quad 3 and quad 4 games. That's where we're at. I mean, CSU, they won 1 game in the Mountain West tournament. They fell to Utah State. That really hurt them. I think that was a little bit more than 60 seconds, but that was basically everything that happened over the last 3 months in about a minute.
Where do we stand right now? If you had to put odds on Colorado State getting into the tournament, what number would you choose?
Not great. I mean, if you were betting on CSU, it would be plus money right now. My guess would be something like plus 400, plus 500, possible, but not likely. It's one of those situations where you're just hoping that the Mountain West deal with CBS, pulls some weight. Craig Thompson, the Mountain West commissioner, he's on the selection committee. Fingers crossed that makes a difference. There are some people, it's not like they're completely out of the picture at this point. Jerry Palm of CBS has CSU as one of the last 4 in. I believe on Bracket Matrix right now, CSU is in on 13 of 90 brackets, so not great. 13 out of 90, I guess, if we're looking for a number based on, what the people around the country are saying.
Yeah,
and honestly,
oh yeah, go ahead, Ben.
I was just going to say too, nationally, the Rams did not get a ton of help yesterday. Obviously, with the Hoyas upset and Oregon State's upset, those are 2 bid steals, and so you see teams like Colorado State that are really on a very precarious situation on the bubble. That hurts. It's difficult for the team, especially because they kind of had a chance, to control their own destiny because they were competitive in the Mountain West tournament. So now they're just sitting there with teams like Drake and teams that have put together strong resumes, but it just is a numbers game, and it'll be interesting to break. I really think CSU is a coin flip because, Justin, as you mentioned, Jerry Palm has them as last 4 in. I see Joe Lenardi has them as the last 4 out. It really is pretty much a coin flip.
And this year there's extra wild cards, right? Like with teams potentially getting COVID and needing to be replaced or withdrawing before anything even starts. Is that realistic for CSU fans to have some hope because of the potential for them to still get in, even if they don't make it into the initial bracket?
Yeah, I mean, all hope isn't lost in that scenario. You always have the possibility of being one of those like replacement teams. You're basically just waiting on reserve at that point. And if anything happens in the next couple of days or so, I think it's by Tuesday though, you know, you have to kind of be locked in. So it's possible. It's always possible. I wouldn't feel great about that situation. You know, if you're CSU, Nico Medved did say after the Mountain West tournament that they're going to play another game, you know, whether that's the NCAA tournament or the NIT. So they will be playing some form of basketball. I wouldn't feel great if I was a CSU fan and in limbo, you know, be like, oh, hopefully somebody gets COVID. One, that feels wrong morally. and two, it's just like, that's like, you know, asking somebody to prom and maybe we'll see. We'll see if anything better shakes out, but I guess it's better than getting a straight out no. I mean, that's the position we're at right now for CSU fans. It's, you know, so you're saying there's a chance. You're Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber just holding on to that little sliver of hope.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We're going to jump into these numbers that we pulled about Colorado State, and I'm going to let Justin talk about these in a second. But this will kind of wrap up our Colorado State talk. If you guys have any teams, I see somebody asking about Syracuse. We might be able to go rapid fire right before selection show starts. So throw teams in there that you want to hear about, and maybe we can have some takes for you guys. But Justin, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, we got the numbers pulled up right here. CSU ranks number 64 in KenPom, 51 in net. I mean, based on that, you would assume that, you know, they're one of the top 68 teams in the country, at least based on the numbers. One of the things that really jumps out to me from CSU is the fact that they're the number 55 adjusted defense in the country. They play good defense against quality opponents. That should matter. You know, looking at their strengths here, much like CSU, a great free throw shooting team, 79% as a team. They were the best free throw shooting team in the Mountain West. Great in transition offense. I'm going to kind of talk about the strength and weakness at the same time here. They don't have a ton of size. You know, that's one of their biggest weaknesses. It makes sense that they're good in transition. They get out, they try and run, they try and take advantage of their athleticism. 3-point shooting, one of the best teams in the conference at 3-point shooting. Can get a little bit streaky at times. That's definitely been an issue, but overall pretty solid. If there's anything they need to clean up, they give up way too many offensive rebounds. And they just turn the basketball over too much, 13.6 per game this year. I think some of that can be attributed to the fact that they were, you know, playing for a couple of weeks, then off for a couple of weeks, then playing for a couple of weeks. It was just really wonky. But overall, when you look at the numbers, this is a team that clearly, you know, plays well against quality competition. The metrics back that up. And I, you know, just kind of looking at some of the stats here, it's clear that they're a pretty competent basketball team. And yeah, that's the Rams by the numbers and what was a pretty successful season.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And before we do wrap up the Rams talk, at least for now, you know, maybe getting a little ahead of ourselves here. They have to make it into the bracket first. But what do you want to see in terms of who Colorado State faces if they do make it in?
That's a tough one. I mean, so much of it is based on, you know, matchups, and you're kind of trying to guess, you know, basically shoot fish in a barrel here. But we did throw a couple of teams out that, you know, possibly could be good or bad matchups for CSU. These are the teams that I think the Rams would want to see early. If they faced Drake, it would likely be in a play-in game. So I tried to keep somebody, you know, in for that. If they went on to win it, you know, you're probably going on to face a team like North Carolina or Michigan State. The reason I chose those teams, one, you're going to get great exposure. Obviously, both of those teams have big national followings. It's a chance to measure yourself against quality competition, potentially pick up a win against a team that's, you know, traditionally viewed as a blue blood. But also, these are two teams that have kind of been up and down all year. I will say North Carolina, from a rebounding perspective, would be a little bit of a tricky matchup for CSU. But I really like Michigan State. They don't have a ton of size. They're inconsistent from a scoring perspective. I could see a situation where, CSU is able to get hot and outscore them. So those are the three teams I think you would want to see if you were a Rams fan, at least early in the tournament. Moving on to the teams you would not want to see. Number one for me would be USC. And we're pulling up the graphics here. I'm going a little too fast for the producers. That's my bad. Evan Mobley, man, what a freak. I mean, if you watch that last CSU game and what Niemus Keita just did to CSU, I don't think you want to face anybody that has just a freak rim protector like that. And that's why I think USC would be a rough draw for CSU. Florida State, they're a team that they're just hard to keep up with. They're a good three-point shooting team, 39%, one of the best in the ACC. They're just one of those teams when they get hot, they really tend to bury you. And that's the same thing with Arkansas, man. They play with crazy tempo, 17th in adjusted tempo, according to Ken Pom. I think they'd be a tricky matchup due to their depth and the ability to run, their ability to put points on the board in a hurry. If you're a CSU fan, I don't love any of these three matchups. I'm curious, though, what Ben has to say about some of this stuff. Did you agree with me, especially USC? It feels like that'd be a pretty rough matchup for CSU, just given their lack of size.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. You saw what Utah State did in that matchup, and as Ryan called him, he just started calling him Bull because that kind of an athlete is just going to dominate the rim, and that's what Evan Mobley did. He really hurt the Buffs, a team that actually does have solid length, and he was averaging damn near 5 blocks in their 2 games in the Pac-12 tournament. So Evan Mobley is a defensive force for sure. When you talk about FSU and Arkansas, those are 2 teams that, I've been lower on Florida State than a lot of people. They've got a great offense, but defensively they struggle. So I think for the Rams, you just have to make sure you're on that night because you might not be able to get a lot of stops. It's just going to be more of a track meet. And that could give you confidence or it could take you aback, kind of depending on how confident you are in the state of that offense. And Arkansas, that's just a team you don't want to face. They're hot. The Muss Bus is rolling. That is look, I'm fully prepared to see Arkansas head coach running around shirtless in March Madness. You just have to see it. So totally agree with those 3 matchups. For Colorado, I wouldn't want to face any of those teams either.
Arkansas and Bama, man. We'll talk.
Let's jump in with Colorado then. Ben, let's just start where we start with the Rams. The season in 60 seconds. Explain to the people what happened to Colorado this season.
Yeah, well, what happened to Colorado this season? Started off pretty well. Went to the Little Apple Classic, the inaugural tournament. Took care of business. Doing pretty well in non-conference play, and then struggled offensively tremendously in a game against Tennessee, which really caused everybody to take pause. But they bounced back, went into conference play playing very good basketball. Started off with a couple losses against UCLA and Arizona, but still, again, playing competitive basketball. And they finished 3rd in the conference with a nice little win streak. They were winning 6 straight games heading into last night's championship game. Of course, if we've got Buffs fans watching today, we had a little therapy session last night. If we're feeling better about it, I hope we are. For me personally, I had to boot up NCAA 14 and get some Dynasty to really get the Buffs juices flowing again. But Colorado, they're still in a great position. Probably looking between the 5 and the 7 line for them. And they've just really put together a strong season. One of the best seasons since 1969, and Tad Boyle cemented himself as a top-tier coach. Does not get the recognition he deserves. Yeah,
that's good stuff, Ben. Let's jump in with the numbers for the season.
Let's do it. In the Buffaloes, as Justin mentioned before, they're pretty firmly in this thing. If you're a Buffs fan watching tonight, you don't really need to be that concerned. KenPom 17, net they are 15th. Their strengths, this graphic was made before last night. Let's get that clear. So the free throw percentage, 82%. They are tied for the national record. Of course, that hurts because last night that free throw percentage would have won them a Pac-12 tournament. But regardless of that, that is still one of their strengths. Another strength is their shooting from the field. They're very efficient because they're able to get guys like Evan Batty involved on the low post. And that is super helpful to really bolster that number. And rebounding. Colorado has a lot of size in the front court, and that helps them dominate the glass from a rebounding perspective, as well as just the points in the paint. They've got a lot of names to watch. Evan Batty, Dallas Walton, Jabari Walker. Those are three guys that play big, they play physically, and they're going to be fun to watch in the tournament. For some weaknesses, inconsistent three-point shooting. On the season, they have solid numbers. The problem is it is not this season average in every game. It's either well over 50% or well below 30, it feels like. And last night, it was a slow shooting start in the first half that really cost them, and kept them out of that game against Oregon State. Another one is assist-to-turnover ratio, 13.2 assists to 11.1 turnovers per game. Just need to clean that up a little bit. It's something to watch, but a lot of reason for that is because their front court handles the ball a lot. And then the other one is just foul trouble. Again, I talk about the front court with Evan Batty. He is a big guy down low, and that just tends to draw some fouls, which can get Colorado into some trouble early. Just looking at the basic KenPom metrics, their adjusted tempo is very low, but that does not translate to a poor offense. They're number 17 in adjusted offense, which means every 100 possessions, they rank 17th as far as scoring per that. And their average defense is good too. So this is a really solid resume that Colorado has going into this tournament. Again, it sucks that last night kind of puts a damper on things, but they're really trending and still in the right direction. I would be shocked if they were not the top seeded team out of the Pac-12. I think it's between them and USC. But I think the selection committee, when they see that Colorado was 3-0 against USC this year, there's really not a big argument there. So that's kind of where the numbers stand.
Yeah, and I agree with yeah, I agree with all that stuff, though. I think that you hit the nail on the head. It's pretty crazy, though, that when you look at the weaknesses, three-point shooting is among them. That 36.7% from the field, that tied for the third best in the Pac-12 conference. And their 224 made threes was the most in the conference. So, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's a strength. It's something that you look at and say, this is why this team has a chance to make a run in something like the NCAA tournament. But you have games like last night, we've seen them before, where the three ball just doesn't fall. And when you do kind of expect to hit some of those, the nights where the three ball doesn't fall, those hurt. Same thing with the front court. Evan Batty down in the post, you talked about him. An honorable mention All Pac-12. McKinley Wright was first team All Pac-12. Those were the two players who Colorado got onto the All Pac-12 teams. When you get him into foul trouble, when you get Dallas Walton into foul trouble, dry horn, you do have to change things up. But when the game is just like going smoothly, you're halfway through the first half and you're just out there playing basketball before foul trouble, all that kind of stuff. This team is a really good team, and I'm excited. Ben, who did you say you did? Let's say didn't want to see in the first round of this tournament?
Yeah. So when I put this together, it was tough because I wanted the caveat of the two first rounds, because where Colorado's at, potentially as a 5 seed, there's not a whole lot of teams that really scare you around like the 11, 12, 13 line. I do think one name to watch is Loyola Chicago. Look, Loyola Chicago is a very good basketball team, and I truthfully don't know where their seed line is going to be. If Colorado slips to the 7 line, I would not be surprised if Loyola is on the 10 line, and that would terrify me because Loyola Chicago is very good. But outside of that, I really was looking into that second round. And of course, knock on wood that I say this, that they make it that far. But two teams to watch, Oregon State and West Virginia. Again, this was before Oregon State really took over that tournament. So Oregon State, Cade Cunningham, they really should line up to the 3 line at this point. That is a scary team. Cade Cunningham is pretty much a lock now for the first pick in the NBA draft. They're hot at the right time. They play very well together as a team. West Virginia is just very big and physical. Bobby Huggins, former Cincinnati Bearcats head coach, shout out to the hometown team there. But West Virginia is just menacing. And again, they're a very talented team as well. The Big 12 just scares me in general. So those are 3 teams to watch that, if they pop up, I'm not going to absolutely write Colorado off, but it is going to change the game plan and really the line on that as well, betting wise.
All right. Teams you do want to see up next.
Yeah, I have a couple fun ones for this, and it's it's a little interesting because I've got Ohio State as my first team listed here. Ohio State taking Illinois to overtime as we speak in the Big Ten tournament. The reason I say Ohio State is, if they're on the 2 line and you see Colorado slip to the 7, you do like how Colorado matches up with their size. Ohio State has the talent, they have the experience, and they've been playing in a better conference. That's why their resume is so good. But as far as all the 2s that they could potentially face, I think the Buckeyes would give – I think the Buffaloes would give the Buckeyes a run for their money. Villanova without Colin Gillespie, they are a wild team to wonder where they're going to be seated. If it's based on the whole resume, I still think they're in the 4-5 range, but they're not putting things together. They're 0-2 without their best player. For those of you who may not know, Colin Gillespie is their point guard, Big East Player of the Year, and Colin Gillespie tore his MCL before the season ended. So that would be a good matchup just because they're not the same team. And another one I put in here is Oklahoma. Oklahoma is another interesting team because being in the Big 12, they have a very good resume. But where they're going to fall, it's very subjective. I would feel comfortable playing the Sooners, whether that is, in the first round, if Oklahoma slips a bit, or in the second round.
All right. That's some really good stuff. We only have a couple of minutes before the selection show gets underway. I saw somebody ask, are we going to show the selections as they happen? So the thing is, our producers are not tipped off before all of this as to what the bracket looks like. And so they have to get the graphics going as we're learning. So we'll be talking about the selections as they happen. We'll be telling you where everything is falling. But in terms of being able to just show you the graphic, it's going to take a couple minutes, but we'll get there. Also, I saw a question about Syracuse. We can touch on that real quick since we have a couple minutes. From Zach FN, maybe? Odds Q's gets in. Scared as hell.
Higher than it should be based on their resume.
I don't know where to put Syracuse because when you look at their resume, 1-7 in quad 1 hurts. Now, they did play well down the stretch, but that just shows a very inability to get it done against the top teams. Now, when you incorporate quad 1 and quad 2 together, you get 7 and 8 in those 2 quadrants, which, that's not terrible. They're 41st in KenPom. They're 21st in adjusted offense, 89 in adjusted defense. I mean, they're on the bubble, I think, as much as any other team is. I would have them in as well, but you don't know because no other games are over. With Cincinnati losing, that's another bid steal that's gone. I do think they're on the right side of the bubble.
The thing is, if you were comparing the resumes of someone like Syracuse versus Colorado State, Syracuse doesn't have a single win as good as that win at San Diego State or Utah State. On top of that, they have a quad 3 loss. They, like you said, they were pretty good against quad 2 games. They were good against good teams, but not the great teams. They're basically the definition of mediocrity in the ACC. I still feel like they're going to get in. I think they're going to get the benefit of the doubt, especially, like you said, with Cincinnati losing today. But that's one of those where if they get in and a team like CSU or Drake gets left out, those are the ones that are tough to stomach as a mid-major fan.
We talk about with the college football playoff a little bit. There are teams that the voters don't want to put in because it'll make them look bad. If you want to take the risk on UCF, the one season they went undefeated and claimed the national championship, all that kind of stuff, the voters have to say, well, I am putting this team in front of Ohio State. And if they get blown out, people are going to say that I did a terrible job. And some of that is true here too. And with teams like Syracuse and Colorado State, you look at the Q2 record for Syracuse and say, hey, that's a team that is competing with this level of team. And we like that. And on top of that, I think that you get some of – nobody's going to blame you for putting Syracuse in the tournament and Syracuse flopping. That's just because of the name brand, and that really sucks. But that, to me, is kind of the advantage that Syracuse has over Colorado State, is just that these voters or the selection committee, when they make their decisions, it's a lot easier to say Syracuse is in than Colorado State is, and that sucks, and that's kind of the problem with committees when it comes to sports.
Well, and TV numbers and ticket sales and everything else. Obviously, ticket sales should be less of a factor this year. They're going to sell every ticket they have just because the availability is so small and so few fans are going to be able to get in. But that having the allure of being, Syracuse, they're, I guess, a blue blood. I mean, not a blue blood, but one of the traditionally great college basketball programs. The ironic thing is I feel like time after time again, mediocre Syracuse teams end up making the tournament, and then they actually do pretty well and prove the committee wrong. They end up winning, 2 or 3 games and going to the Sweet 16. They get blown out there by a really good team, but hey, Cuse is going to make it. I feel pretty confident in putting that out there.
Yep, absolutely. It looks like the Big Ten game has concluded. Nope. 14 seconds left. Illinois is up 89-84. Selection show coming soon. So we actually have bought a little bit of time for folks if they want to get some more questions in. Next one up here, we've got Firefighter Buff coming in. What do you think of Oregon State's chances to advance as, say, a 12? Decent, playing really well. For me, yeah, a very good chance that they advance if they end up as a 12. They're playing fantastic basketball. They took down UCLA, Oregon, and Colorado. In the closest game was Colorado. The UCLA game in overtime, Oregon State was in that a lot, and Oregon, the Beavers just pretty much killed them. So I think it's a very good chance that they advance. It does. I mean, as all these things do, it really depends on the matchup because Colorado as a 5 seed, and again, they won't be able to play in the first round. But for example, a team like Colorado as a 5 seed against a team like Villanova as a 5 seed, those are very different as far as where those teams are at today. So I think they've got a good chance. It just kind of still depends a little bit about how the cookie crumbles. But as soon as the bracket comes out and we see Oregon State, we'll definitely circle back to this question and see how far they can make it.
Yeah. Are we putting too much weight in the conference tournaments when a team like Oregon State is potentially a 12 seed because of 3 wins and we're ignoring the entire body of work? This is just a general question that came to mind right now. I love the conference tournaments. It's a fun, but to me, like, how do you put Oregon State higher than like 14?
Yeah, and I don't think you can just because of the full body of work. That's where the seeding comes in. But when it comes time to make picks on the games, I am putting all sorts of stock into what I saw from Oregon State last week because they hit shots that Colorado made them take the toughest shots I think that they could possibly have to take. Like, if I'm being totally honest, like, that defense was good. They just made the shots. And so when I see it, I do think that Oregon State is better than a 14 seed just because of the way their season has progressed. They lost their best player coming into this season. They've had to kind of build a new identity this season. I think that right now they are better than a 14 seed. That's not the way it works, though. It's based on what you did in the whole season combined, and that wasn't enough to be better than that.
Yeah, I think too, like, this whole thing is who's hot at the right time. Colorado had a great resume last year, but I wouldn't pick them to win in the first round after last season's collapse. I think the same can be said for not only Oregon State, but also Georgetown and the Hoyas. They're playing great, and they took care of business in the Big East tournament. The Hoyas could be a team that might end up being in a play-in game, for example, and they're still a team that I think could make the Sweet 16. They're playing great basketball. So I do totally understand, it's that eternal struggle of, is it more important for the entire body on the resume, or is it really more important about who's playing hot? I think it's a combination of those two things. Oregon State, they're definitely going to be a double-digit seed. But with that being said, if anybody is, sleeping on them, I wouldn't. That team is shooting lights out. Buffs fans can attest. Do not sleep on the Beavers. Ethan Thompson and Jared Lucas will light you up.
And it's not just Buffs fans. The entire Pac-12 just saw what Oregon State did, and I don't think anybody is going to say that is not a good basketball team at this point. Looks like there's 3.8 seconds left in this overtime now. It still looks like it's a lock to go Illinois' ways, but we're going to have to wait to see the brackets until after this game wraps up. If you guys have any questions, again, feel free to throw those in, whether they're questions about the Rams, about the Buffs, or whether they're about whatever other team. Justin and Ben know a whole lot about the rest of college basketball, and I chime in a little bit too.
Real quick, actually, now might be a great time while some more people get some comments in. Let's plug some of the other stuff we've got going on real quick. So first things first, guys, we have a tournament challenge, and we're really excited about it. This is something that we wanted, again, to do last season, and it obviously didn't come to fruition. Real quick, Illinois officially just beat Ohio State, so we should be transitioning to the bracket reveal soon. But bracket challenge, I will be posting a link to this in the YouTube chat as well as in the Discord. If you are a member, this is a members-only perk. There'll be a competition, obviously, with your bracket. You can win prizes as the DNVR Locker, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So make sure to stay tuned to that. Get your bracket in as soon as possible. And if you have questions about the bracket, stay tuned, because after, we're going to have another live show later tonight that really is going to be a full analysis on not only Buffs Ram stuff, but also a bracket analysis. And Justin, Henry, and myself are going to be going live every single morning of the first round, the first two rounds. And we'll be going through, all sorts of stuff from key matchups to betting advice, tons of great stuff. So we've got so much content on the way for you all. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop stuff with a like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell, because we got tons of stuff coming your way.
Absolutely. Looks like they have potentially flipped over to the Selection Sunday show. Either that or my stream changed to something weird that I don't understand. We're getting real close. Let's just start at the top, though. Are the 1 seeds already determined, or is there? Oh wait, actually, we did get a CSU question, so let's hit that first, and then we'll jump back to this. But from Nick Pat 48, if the Rams end up in the NIT, are they a 1?
I would say they're nothing shorter than a 2 seed, especially if they're one of the top 1 or 2 teams left out of the NCAA tournament. By that logic, you'd be one of the top teams in the NIT. Again, I don't know if they look at the same metrics at the NIT as they do for the NCAA tournament, because some of that is kind of about, in a traditional year, again, it comes down to ticket sales and being able to who's actually going to make this tournament worth viewing. So there is a political aspect to that, but I don't see them being anything lower than a 2 seed if they participate in the NIT. And again, that could potentially be something fun. I don't want to put that out there just yet. I'm still holding out hope that they make the NCAA tournament, but you look at teams a couple of years ago, Nevada, they actually won the CBI, not even the NIT after that. Then they made the NCAA tournament the following 3 years. So, postseason basketball is postseason basketball. But holding on hope. The selection show, it's starting. I'm getting nervous. This is going to be an interesting hour. CSU fans are going to get a very candid reaction out of me either way, no matter how this ends up playing out.
There is no shame in the NIT. Colorado was in that 2 years ago, and they got to play some decent teams like Dayton and put on a little bit of a run. And that's just, it's nice to see. I do think it's a great building block to go from there. I agree. The dream is the big dance, as the show is just now kicking off. But, no slouch in postseason at all. Absolutely.
I think your guys' show feeds might be just a bit ahead of mine. That's something we're going to have to figure out is who's going to be seeing these first and can say what's up.
We'll have Ben, you shout them out when you see something that you want to see.
Let's get back while they're still kind of going through this. Henry, I think you asked a great question. Are the 1 seeds locked? I think that now it is. If Ohio State would have won today, I would have put Ohio State over Michigan because of how many quadrant 1 wins they had. But at this point, I do think the number 1 seeds go in this order: Gonzaga, Baylor, Illinois, Michigan. And Illinois, man, they really have a case to be, considered the favorite. Obviously Gonzaga being undefeated, that's going to be the heavy favorite. But Illinois, between Kofi Coburn, if you haven't had a chance to watch the Fighting Illini, and we've got a couple Illinois fans in the comments right now, it looks like, man, they're talented. They've got one of the best guards in the entire country in Ayo Dosunmu. And at the same time, they have one of the best big men in Kofi Coburn. That 1-2 punch it's just sensational.
Interesting. Michigan as the 4th 1 seed, even after the loss. I think there's a strong argument for Alabama, given that they just won the SEC tournament. They won the regular season as well. I think it comes down to those two. Again, I totally agree with you. It's Michigan or Alabama. I'd lean Bama though at this point, just given that they won the SEC tournament. I think that gives them, just barely the edge over.
Personally, I would love to reward conference winners. I feel like that's just a generally good practice. 2 seeds though. Where does this start? Oh, Ryan, you're here.
RK himself, he's here.
Wow, just in time.
They started revealing. Yeah, I was not ready for them to start revealing the teams this fast. Like, my heart is racing all of a sudden. I thought they were going to do a nice little, like a 20-minute intro, but I guess that game before them kind of took that away from them. So,
officially, Gonzaga, the number 1 seed in the country. No surprises there. They will be playing in the 16 matchup, a play-in game, and of course, CBS tuned away, as I was trying to read, between Norfolk State versus Appalachian State. Oh, the next matchup, the first 8-9 matchup has been revealed. Number 8 Oklahoma taking on number 9 Missouri. That's a fun matchup. That's a fun game. Oklahoma, they've got some firepower. Missouri, the metrics hate them, but I tend to still be in on the Tigers. Number 5 seed in the first West region, Creighton, the Creighton Blue Jays, making an appearance here as Allie frantically refreshes the Twitter feed. And they will be playing, the first 12 seed in is UC Santa Barbara, who got their auto bid yesterday.
Yeah.
So there's 1 5 seed off the board.
Yep. UC Santa Barbara, we upset that Colorado doesn't get them.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been a nice matchup. The number 4 seed right now, Virginia coming in. Silver Buff saying you guys are behind. Yeah, we're all streaming right now, trying to do both things at once. My professional opinion would be turn off your second screen and just focus in on us, because that sounds like a lot more fun. So Virginia, 4 seed, taking on number 13 Ohio. Virginia, that's a name to watch. Not sure how many people they're going to have available to them because of COVID. The first Pac-12 team coming in, USC, a 6 seed right now.
That's good news.
That is good news.
That's really good news.
Absolutely good news for Colorado.
And Drake has officially made the NCAA tournament. They are in a play-in game between themselves and Wichita State. Shout out to super producer Kale. Congratulations. He's been sweating all week about that. You love to see Drake get a shot.
They're good, man.
I don't know if that's a good thing for CSU that Wichita State made it.
Kansas coming in as a 3 seed in this West region. I think that's about expected. The fact that Kansas could not participate in the tournament because of COVID for them, that really hurt them. They'll be playing Eastern Washington.
Rather than and here's another Pac-12 team. I was going to say, rather than revealing the bracket, though, so with USC as a 6, Oregon as a 7, the Buffs should absolutely be no lower than a 5.
I'd say no lower than a 6. I could still see a scenario where USC comes in as the same seed, and that's just because they love what Evan Mobley has. And it looks like the entire West region has been revealed. So, Allie, if it's easier, we could just wait until they post a picture, because they'll probably post a picture of that template soon. But, yeah, with Oregon being a 7 and USC being a 6, I still think they'll side on Colorado probably being a 6. Honestly,
really,
I think that would be shocking. I mean, USC is a team that Colorado kicked their ass 2 times and then beat them again in the tournament.
No, I don't disagree with the logic, but I just think the selection committee is probably going to say USC is Evan Mobley, and that's going to get them that nod.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's huge news for the Buffs that they're 6. I think they should be a 5 if USC is a 6. But
and we'll Oregon at 7 too. That's another good sign.
I like the who's Oregon going up against again?
VCU.
I already forgot.
VCU. Okay, I don't know much about VCU, but I was going to say
they're really good. That's an upset watch if you're looking for a potential. What was Oregon seeded? They were 7, a potential 10-7 upset. VCU pretty hot at the end.
For those of you who aren't watching the selection show, it's currently in commercials. That's why there's nothing more coming out.
Yeah, they went so fast on that. That was intense.
That was. I thought it was going to be a lot slower. I hope to God the next one's revealed a little slower.
That was so intense. I was like, refresh.
I kind of like it. There's no with some of
Oh,
the
yeah.
college football playoff thing, it takes an hour and a half to announce the top 25.
Yep.
They're just, here's your teams. Let's talk basketball, baby.
I'm
Yep.
sure their producers were just like, yo, we lost 11 minutes. We got to start making them up, so they just ran through that. That was intense. That was fast. I wish, hopefully they post that region. It'd be nice to see that whole region and get a look at this.
As soon
Don
as they do,
Hoover of
I'll
the
bring
Wilner Hotline covers the Pac-12, gets as many scoops as anyone. He just tweeted, "This is news for Colorado. Trojans are a number 6, and Buffs beat them 3 times. Points to CU as a number 5."
Nice. I'm glad that Wilner agrees with me despite Ben not.
Dude, okay, y'all peer pressured me last night to agree with you guys. Look how that happened. Look how well that went. So,
I'm pressuring you.
God, I need them to pull something up here. What games are you most excited about from that matchup? I agree. The VCU Oregon matchup. VCU is a team that they lost to St. Bonaventure in their conference championship, but they are a good team, absolutely, as Justin mentioned. And to be on the 10-7 line, that could be sneaky, especially Oregon coming off a pretty tough loss to Oregon State where they kind of got exposed on the defensive end. Not sure, if there's any other upsets that really scream to me, though, from that first region. Everything else seems fairly cut and dry.
A lot of chalk. Kansas should be a no-brainer. Although I guess you never know with the Jayhawks in the postseason. They're one of those where they go to the Final Four or lose in the first round.
Perfect.
There we go.
All right, let's go through these, one at a time. So Gonzaga against the 16. You can Sharpie in Gonzaga. You can get Gonzaga moving on, tattooed on your body. You can feel absolutely confident in that. Instant reactions here, Oklahoma, Missouri. What's everybody's gut saying?
I lean Missouri in this one, man. They've been inconsistent offensively, but you and I talked about it a bunch on DNVR Madness throughout the season. You just can't trust Oklahoma. They're too hot and cold. They don't respond well in tight games. They get punched in the mouth. We saw Oklahoma State go in and beat them twice when all they needed to do, was just win one of their final 3 games. I'm not feeling Oklahoma at all going into this tournament.
I kind of lean the other way. I like Oklahoma on that one. But those 8-9 games are a toss-up. Oklahoma, I just think has a higher ceiling as a team, and so because of that, I think that in March I like to ride with those teams who, if they get hot, are the better team. But you're right. They don't really respond to adversity well, and there's a very good chance that they're going to see it. So it could go either way.
Looks like we're back with the selection show. Baylor is a 1 seed playing Hartford. This is the other region that Colorado and Colorado State too wants to avoid. You don't want to be with Gonzaga. You don't want to be with Baylor.
I disagree. I'm not afraid of Baylor at all.
Really?
Yeah,
you should be.
Yeah. Even compared to the other 1 seeds.
They're not compared to the other 1 seeds. I think that they're one of the good draws. They haven't been the same since they came back from that COVID break. Unfortunately, it's a shitty reason to lose a step, but we've actually made some money on the bet show, fading them ever since then.
Another 8-9 matchup revealed. North Carolina, Wisconsin. That one's going to be interesting. Bet heavy on North Carolina. They're playing very good basketball. Another 5 seed goes off the board to Villanova. As we predicted, Villanova would go to the 5 line. That I think you feel good about because now Texas Tech comes in as the 6 seed. So I think you're feeling good if you're Colorado. Henry, as you mentioned, I don't know what RK is on, but I don't want to be in the same region as Baylor or Gonzaga. You cannot be scared of them, but let's wait until
Utah State makes it.
Utah State as an 11.
The behemoth.
Wow. So was that a conversation, Utah State or Colorado State? Or did you know Colorado State is in? Utah State's probably in.
I think if CSU was getting in, they all 3 were getting in. I don't think they were getting in over Utah State after how the tournament played out. It's possible, though. Utah State, man, they have a couple of bad losses. They got swept by Boise State. They had a quad 3 loss earlier in the season to Southern Mississippi or something like that. It was brutal. They're in as an 11, though. Not even a play-in game, so easily in for Utah State. A little bit surprising there.
That has to help Colorado State a little bit, right? That they were quote-unquote easily in.
It shows that they respect the Mountain West. I feel decent about CSU maybe getting a play-in game then.
Okay. Utah
Florida-
State, I'm picking them in that game. I'm just going to say it right now.
Florida takes a 7 seed, which is good. So now, I mean, Colorado should not be in this South region. To make things easier, Justin, whenever you see shit about CSU too, you just jump in like, okay, good, But let's if we can, Allie, can we go back to the West region bracket template as the South region finishes out? That way we can finish talking about that one. And real quick though, Ohio State is a 2 seed in that region.
So
but just
that was kind of one that you wanted to catch, right? That was one that you kind of wanted to be in that region if you were the Buffs.
That is one I would like. But so let's keep going here. Creighton over against UC Santa Barbara. Again, this is one I think it's as close to a lock as possible for Creighton. They're playing well. Actually, I don't know. After the Georgetown loss, do you guys think there's a chance UC Santa Barbara can overtake them?
I mean anything. It's March Madness, baby.
Yeah, I also love all teams named the Gauchos. So I'm in on UC Santa Barbara.
What other Gauchos do you like, Ryan?
That's a really good question. But I also like Toreros, which are kind of similar.
That's San Diego.
San Diego, yeah, is the Toreros.
Who's the Banana Slugs?
That's UC Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz, yeah, that's right.
See, I think we should try and do the mascot guessing game for maybe our Thursday morning show. That one got cut as far as final cuts, but maybe we could try and bring that one back because that would be fun.
There's less games on Thursday too.
Yeah, final matchup to touch on here: Virginia over against Ohio, and I think Quentin Walker in the comments coming in saying Ohio is a potential bracket buster. Yeah, I think it is. I think another big thing to track here again with Virginia leaving their conference tournament after a COVID pause. They're eligible, but how many players are they going to actually be able to bring? The NCAA tournament this year is going to be so fascinating because you only need 5 players to be eligible. So if you can, and that includes walk-ons, has no scholarship limits, anything like that. To put that in perspective,
that's a shame.
Guys, the Buffs lineup that they played against Oregon State when they won by 30, that would be enough to get the Buffs to be declared eligible. So that'll be interesting to track to see if Ohio is able to overcome. That is an interesting 13-4 matchup to watch.
9-1 in their last 10 games, coming off of that, won their conference tournament. Obviously, got the auto bid, but it wasn't, like they were a fluke story. They were hot coming in. They did lose by 20 in their regular season finale, really up and down. But people forget Ohio gave Illinois a hell of a game earlier in the season. It was like 2-point game, I think, or something like that. I'd have to pull it up. Yeah. 77-75 against Illinois. It was back in November, and I take some of those November games with a grain of salt because weird stuff happens. But it shows, when they're playing at their best, what they're capable of. You mentioned there's going to be a lot of questions about Virginia's depth. That could be a sneaky upset. I'll be curious to see what Vegas has on that too.
Yep. Moving on to the next side of the West region, USC, Wichita State, Drake for the 6-11 matchup. Drake is a team that they slipped at the end of their season because of injury, but they still should be good to. They still, even getting that player back now for the tournament, I still think USC is a lock here. Neither Wichita State or Drake have the ability to stop Evan Mobley, and I think that's going to be enough to propel them into the round of 32.
Yeah, it's really hard to put aside what you know about the Buffs matching up against USC and look at the rest of it because the Buffs just match up so well against them, and it's why that they were able to just mop them around all season. But you take out their 3 losses to the Buffs, they're 22-4. And so they've taken care of business about damn near everyone else. They're a really good team, and Evan Mobley is scary.
Yeah, especially for some of the not, mid-major teams, I guess, who don't have the size to match up.
Absolutely.
Selection back, by the way. We'll get more.
Illinois, the 3rd 1 seed.
Yep. And just to tie a bow on this West region for now, I think the only other game to highlight is the one we already talked about a bit with VCU Oregon. I think Kansas, Eastern Washington, and Iowa Grand Canyon, those are, again, good for those teams for getting in, but the 2 and the 3 should prevail in the first round. Oregon, VCU should definitely be on upset watch. VCU is playing great basketball. So let's go back to the live reveal as they're coming in. Ryan, as you said, Illinois coming in as the 1 seed. They'll be playing Drexel. And the 8-9 matchup coming in, Loyola Chicago is an 8 seed. I think that's higher than I thought they would be just based on where the committee values, that kind of a conference. But congratulations to them. Their matchup is against Georgia Tech as the 9 seed. If you are Tech, man, that's a tough draw. That is a tough draw for you as a Georgia Tech. And good for Loyola Chicago, really. Tennessee coming in as the 5 seed, and Silver Buff chiming in the chat to spoil it for us. But Oregon State being the 12.
Oh.
We talked about it in the pregame show. RK, I'm not sure if you heard, but when we talked about Oregon State being a 12 seed and if they could move on, I think, yes, after seeing this, Tennessee's offense is paltry. So would not be shocked in the slightest to see the Beavers upset them just because of how well they're shooting.
They're so long on defense, though. They're going to make things really difficult for that Oregon State offense. But if Oregon State's throwing in the type of garbage that they threw in last night, then anything can happen.
Folks, get nervous here. Oklahoma State, the 4 seed, playing Liberty. Oklahoma State being a 4 seed, I think, is still overvaluing Cade Cunningham's ability. I'm so nervous. All right, San Diego State is the 6 seed. So Colorado and Colorado State right now still flirting on the edges. San Diego State is a 6 seed, most likely a top-rated Mountain West team. Justin, we'll dive into a full analysis of San Diego State in a bit as we just keep seeing the names come down the wire here.
This always happens. It's always got to come down to the last
region. So shout out to, I want to get this right, Celia 5280. Shout out you. I know you were worried about Syracuse in the pregame of this. Congratulations to the Orange getting in. They are a team, Jim Boeheim. That is a coach I would not want to be playing against in March. It does not matter what their record is.
San Diego State's going to mop the floor with Syracuse.
Y'all, this is getting a little nerve-wracking. I'm not going to lie to y'all.
A CSU game is still technically possible at this point.
Still alive.
Coming in from John Wilner, too, Syracuse being an 11 seed is growing concern for UCLA and their bid hopes. West Virginia as a 3 against Morehead State as a 14. So the teams that I highlighted as teams I did not want to face, I believe, are now all off the board. So if you have any belief in my Ben Palm ranking system, you can have faith in that. Clemson as a 7 seed. That almost guarantees Colorado has to be a 5, right?
We'll see.
Somewhere in there.
I'm not guaranteeing anything.
I'm so nervous, man. If Colorado doesn't make the tournament, I'm done. Tapping out.
I don't even know how to say that.
Houston is the 2 seed in this region. Congrats to the Cougars. That's another fun team. They dismantled my old man's alma mater today, winning by like 30 points. Congrats to Houston on that one. And Cleveland State is the final 15. So as the Midwest region is revealed, they're going to go to a break. So now, Allie, can we bounce it back to the South region and dive through some of those matchups? Perfect. So Baylor, Hartford. RK, if you're Hartford, do you still not think Baylor scares you?
No, if I'm picking 116 to beat a 1, it's Hartford.
Okay, fair enough.
Are you picking 116 to beat a 1 seed, RK?
No, there's really no value in such a pick.
No.
I mean, unless you're just going on the money line at DraftKings Sportsbook, then it's a great pick.
Fair. 8-9 matchup in this one I think is really enticing. North Carolina, Wisconsin. To me, Tar Heels all the way. Wisconsin does not impress me as much as I think. They've been ranked in the top 25 damn near every week, but I think the Tar Heels are good to go in this one.
They came on strong, man. They didn't have their identity offensively early, but they're a great rebounding team. They have good athletes. They're one of those teams, like when they get hot, they can start to feel themselves. I will say, much like Oklahoma, North Carolina, kind of one of those teams where when they get punched in the mouth a little bit, they don't respond all that well. But I like their ceiling a lot higher in this matchup than I like Wisconsin's, who's just, there's nothing there that impresses you. You know what I mean? It's not a horrible basketball team. They play good defense. it's just they're vanilla, and I'm not even saying that because it's Wisconsin and like a bunch of white dudes thing, but it's just like they're boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also just in March you lean with the coaches.
Good point.
And the North Carolina had their coach.
Yeah. This 5-12 matchup is
Oh,
the shoe-in my opinion. This is the one you can lock in as an upset. Winthrop over Villanova. Villanova, as we touched on, they're not playing good basketball. Winthrop is. They're not just 23-1 on the season. They are a good basketball team. That one, in my very unprofessional opinion, you can probably get as close to pencil or sharpening that one in as any other 5-12 line matchup.
It almost feels too obvious, though.
Yep.
Exactly.
I feel the same way. Like 23-1 Winthrop, everyone is picking that.
That's what I mean. And they've been a cover machine. I've made a lot of money on Winthrop this year, but
do you even know what state Winthrop plays in?
No.
It's got to be like Iowa.
I think it's New York, but that's just a guess.
I was gonna say I think it's East Coast, but
Really?
Yeah.
Winthrop University.
Seems like they could
It's
call them
in
a better
Rock
name.
Hill, South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Winthrop
Yeah.
Eagles.
Yep.
Nice.
All right. Last one on this picture, on this graphic, Purdue, North Texas. Purdue is a very good team. I think out of this drop, Purdue should be going to the Sweet 16. I don't think they're going to get much really resistance on their path there, even between a winner of Winthrop Villanova. I think Purdue should be able to get in handily.
Don't sleep on North Texas, dude. That's an experienced team. It's a bunch of JUCO guys. They're sneaky poised to be like a Sweet 16 team. They are that good. They're a lot of fun to watch. They throw down dunks. My guy Ross Hodge, an assistant coach on North Texas. Shout out Ross. Hope you're watching.
All right,
Probably not.
Let's pull this back down and go live again. Allie, I'm so sorry that we're just bouncing all around again. But the last region is now being revealed, which means both Colorado and Colorado State. So let's pull this into live. And actually, instead of refreshing the page, can we just go to the layout of just us? That way that everybody can get our instant reaction faces. This is it, folks. This is really everything that both teams were working for all season long. The chance to make a run, for Colorado State being on the bubble, for Colorado flirting with a couple different seed lines. This is everything they've been waiting for. Michigan is your 1 seed in this final region, going up against Mount St. Mary's or Texas Southern in that 16 play-in game. Love that for Michigan. They're a team that, you talk about Baylor not scaring you. I don't think Michigan scares me as much anymore. So happy that that's the 1 seed in this region. Of all of them, I think that would be the easiest one to play.
Beware of the Mount, bro. They're hot.
The Mount.
I'm so nervous. LSU coming in as the first 8 seed. I guess the final 8 seed.
Final 8 seed,
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a little lower for LSU than I anticipated.
Reveal it faster. I can't handle this.
Yeah,
I know.
How come the first couple regions they flew through?
Yeah, now they're just dragging it out, making us all feel the pain.
Going up against St. Bonaventure. Oh, I love that matchup. I'm taking the Bonnies, man.
Yeah.
Send the Bonnies to the Sweet 16. Send the Bonnies to the Sweet 16.
Here we go. There
Colorado.
it is.
What seed is it? 5?
5.
Mine's gone.
You're damn right it's a 5, just like I said it would be.
There we go.
Playing oh, shit.
Who is it?
Well,
Georgetown. You got to be kidding me.
Well, I mean, look, you're running into the Oregon State part 2 here. A hot team that did not play well all season.
Oh, my God. That's the worst 5-12. Oh, okay. Florida State is the 4 seed. That is okay. I'm okay with that.
Ben, why do you not like this matchup so much?
With Georgetown?
Yeah.
Just exactly what you said. Because it's Oregon State again, and that terrifies me. They're hot right now. And also, I mean, they with John Thompson Jr., and they're just rallying behind him. It's a whole thing. But Florida State being the 4 seed here, I don't mind that whatsoever.
BYU as a 6, man. I like that team. I really like that team. Come on, let's get a CSU miracle. I want this for Justin.
It's
Wow.
not happening.
UCLA in the play-in.
Really?
Michigan State, UCLA in a play-in. That's going to be a interesting thing. So the Pac-12 does, in fact, turn 5 bids. Unlike, who did you say last night, RK, said Colorado wouldn't make it and it'd only be a 3-bid league?
I'm going to dunk on him on Twitter right now. It was Terry Fry.
He said you wouldn't make the field.
He said yes. First he tweeted out a poll that said, "Serious question: will CU get an NCAA berth?" It was 87% yes, and then he tweeted out later. Well, first he said in the response to someone in that poll, he said, "I should rephrase this. Am I the only one concerned that Pac-12 might only get 3 berths, and it might be Oregon State, Oregon, and USC?" And then he later tweeted, I think the Buffs are likely in, but I think that it's potential that Oregon State just stole a Pac-12 spot and not anyone else's spot.
UConn coming in here as a 7 seed. They're another team I don't want to face if I am Maryland. Okay, that's a fascinating matchup. That 7-10 one is very interesting. And finally, Alabama is the last 2 seed. That I do think they had a reasonable shot at that last 1 spot. I really did. No surprise. I don't think that it went to Michigan, but I think they were close. And Iona, the final team coming in, is the 15 seed.
Sorry, Justin.
And to all the Rams fans who could be watching, that's a tough break. That's a good basketball team, and it sucks that we don't get to see him play in this tournament.
They got screwed by their own conference.
Expound on that a little bit.
They lost a game to Nevada that didn't need to be played. They got forced to play 4 games in a week before the conference tournament after being off for 3 weeks.
Now this is interesting. Colorado State is the second replacement team. This is interesting. So this year, due to COVID, March Madness is putting out their last 4 out officially, and those act as replacements. Those 4 replacements are in order: Louisville, Colorado State, St. Louis, and Ole Miss. So Colorado State as the second replacement team. You have Virginia. You have Virginia, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the other one. Virginia and Kansas, both with COVID scares in their conference tournaments. So that is interesting. The last 4 in officially were Michigan State, UCLA, Wichita State, and Drake. Those are officially the last 4 in. And, of course, those are each playing in a play-in game.
Hey,
there you have it.
There's still hope, Justin. There's still hope.
There's still hope. And do we know how that works? So say a 3 seed and a 4 seed drop out. Does that just mean that Louisville slides in as a 3 and Colorado State slides in as a 4?
So this year there will be no reseeding. There will be no rebracketing. The bracket is as the bracket is. Teams have 48 hours. So the deadline is Tuesday evening to be declared ineligible due to COVID. So they have until Tuesday evening. Before that, so within that 48-hour window, if a team drops out, you would see teams like Louisville and Colorado State fill them and slide directly in. This does mean no matter where the seed is, if Michigan catches COVID and they're the first team to do it, that means Louisville will slide in as a number 1 overall seed in that region. The other caveat with that to remember is after 48 hours, that's it. So pretty much those last 4 in for replacements have until Tuesday. And that's a tough spot to be in because, quite frankly, if you're on Louisville's staff, if you're on Colorado State staff, you're mildly hoping for a COVID outbreak. And that's an interesting spot to be in, but that's just the nature of the bracket this year.
Okay, Justin, I have a reason for you as to why you should be rooting for the Buffs.
Okay.
Because if the Buffs would have won last night, then that would have gotten, who was it, Louisville? Are they the first one out?
Yes.
That would have got them in. But you should hate Georgetown because if they didn't win their tournament, then CSU would be in. So now you should root for their ultimate failure against the Buffs. I
guess I see the logic there.
All right. I'll take it.
I don't know. I'm rooting against everyone now. I just
Real
want
quick.
anarchy.
Real quick, I don't think any of us have the sound on, but CBS already predicted a Georgetown victory over Colorado. So that's interesting.
Yeah, of course they did, because
CBS
it's an East Coast team against a Pac-12 team.
Well, the other interesting thing is CBS consistently has been the only group of people to be predicting Colorado to be anywhere less than a 7 seed. Coming into today, everyone had their average composite ranking was a 6.001 of seeds. And that was brought heavily down because CBS had them as a 9. So, thank you, CBS. But, folks, we have a March Madness bracket, and I think that in itself is at least exciting to know. Shall we maybe go back to the last region we left off and kind of dive back in, give some takes about that, and go from there?
Let's build Colorado's path to the Final Four.
Well, we're going to come back live later, too.
One second. I've got just a little bit of information from CU. So this will be the first ever meeting between CU and Georgetown. It's never happened before. The time and location are to be announced, but CU will play on Saturday, March 20th, and the second round games will be on Monday, March 22nd.
Wait, what?
That surprises me. Maybe that was a message as of 3 minutes ago. CU Georgetown plays winner of Florida State, UNC Greensboro. CU has never played either of them as well.
Did I miss the memo where the tournament isn't starting on Thursday?
It's the first 4 games are on Thursday, and then everything else is going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So I did miss the memo.
Yep.
So they're not doing – so wait, Friday, Saturday – so it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So the Buffs will play Saturday, Monday?
Saturday, Monday.
Okay.
Saturday.
Hopefully
Hopefully Monday. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that must have been a plea from companies around the world for more productivity on Thursday.
Yes.
That's got to be the least productive. But Mondays, no one's productive.
It is shorter.
Real quick, let's tie a bow on going through some of these matchups. Texas Tech, Utah State. This is an interesting 6-11 matchup. Ryan, you've already sharpied in Utah State. You sticking with it?
Yeah, I am. I also just don't care about any other teams except for Colorado right now. So I would much rather talk about this region in the sense of, okay, how does Colorado's draw shake out in their region?
Okay, that's totally fine. Let's do that then. Allie, can we the Bucks region?
Also, Tad Boyle's going to be talking in at this point 1 to 5 minutes. And so I'm in the Zoom call. I'm going to jump out as soon as he's telling us stuff.
So this is a great time to just plug this, folks. So as soon as media availability comes up, so real quick, we'll do a quick dive into CU. We'll jump off so we can talk about so we can do some media availability. We will go live again shortly thereafter, and we will do a bracket analysis. We will talk more about specifically CU matchup. And then also we'll start kind of maybe trying to build some of the brackets. Maybe we'll have a little fun with that. We'll see where that goes. But real quick, we'll just do the CU thing before we lose Henry. Excuse me.
Hankry.
I got stuck in between.
I think – okay, there we go. So, I like Adam's comment here. He says, love this new view with Ben behind the logo. Huge improvement.
Hey.
I know. He's mean, What can you do? He's a bully. Okay, so let's go, if we can, Allie, to the Buffs region here, if they've put that graphic up. But just on the surface, if you strip away the fact that Georgetown is hot, and, they're, like I said, they're kind of another Oregon State that you're running into here. If you strip that away, the Buffs are, in my opinion, got the best matchup of the 5-12s.
Yeah. I'm not stripping it away, though.
Well, no, but you don't – I'm just saying on the surface, I mean, you're going up against a team who was 13-12 this season. You are, wasn't there? There's another 5-12 against a team that was 23-1. So from a take away their destiny, and who knows? Destiny, does that run out when you win your conference tournament, or does it? How long does it last? You never know with these type of things. Are they going to be throwing in random? Bye, Henry. You're throwing in random shots and all that stuff. It takes a lot to win a conference tournament like that. But when you take that away, to me, I think the Buffs got a really good draw here.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
Not convinced.
No, I think I'm probably partially scarred by last night and what Oregon State did. Just diving into some of the metrics briefly, Georgetown, 85th in adjusted offensive rating, 41st in adjusted defense. So there you go. You're averaging about adjusted as a 60 offensive defensive. No, that's not great. You do like that matchup. I agree. I think the 5-12 draw is decent. I think this portion of the bracket is probably one of the best. Again, I think Michigan is the most beatable 1 seed. I think Florida State is a very beatable 4 seed. Again, not predicting Colorado is going to go to the Elite 8. However, I'm saying you're right. This is a very good draw from that regard. Florida State really doesn't scare me if they make it to that second round. They just lost to Georgia Tech, I believe, or they won. I can't remember. That was right when the Buffs
lost.
came.
No, Georgia Tech got the auto bid.
Okay,
yeah.
So that they're a team that's clearly beatable, and I just want to pull up their KenPom numbers right now. They are 15th in KenPom, so the Seminoles are 10th in adjusted offense and 48th in adjusted defense. So that game could be more of a track meet than against Georgetown. Again, though, just have to find a way to beat teams in different ways. Colorado's shown they can do that. So, you're right. As I start thinking about it, Team of Destiny is great for the conference tournament, but with a 5-day break, I think that Colorado should be able to put together a decent game plan.
Exactly. And again, the 5-day break I think is so huge here. When you look at momentum, the perfect example is the 2007 Rockies, right? They get hot at the end of the season. They're Team of Destiny. They figure it all out. They go through and they sweep the first round of the playoffs, and they sweep the second round of the playoffs. They make it all the way. They sweep their way all the way to the World Series. And because the other series in the AL goes 7 games, they're left waiting 11 days before they play again. And it's just like, it can wear off. Now, again, Georgetown might just come in and, I didn't think Oregon State was going to do it last night. So they might just come in and remain a Team of Destiny and start, making contested threes and doing all that. And in the end, this is March and you can't be surprised by anything that happens. I'll just say, I think the committee was doing the Buffs a favor. I think they were they gave the Buffs the best draw out of the 5-12 matchups. 5-12, always a scary place to be for the 5 seed. I think the Buffs got a pretty darn good draw here. Justin, the unbiased observer, what do you think?
I think it's a good draw for CU overall. Georgetown's a team with pretty good length, but Colorado, they've matched up well against the bigger teams throughout the season. They've obviously got decent size themselves. To me, it's just going to come down to, can Colorado consistently hit 3-pointers, because Georgetown's not that potent offensively, and can they keep the true 7-footer off the glass? And he's coached up by Patrick Ewing. I don't know. There could be a little something there, a little juice going Georgetown's way. I'm a big momentum guy, so I believe in it. But like RK said, I would feel worse about it if this game was being played on Tuesday than it being played next week.
Absolutely.
Or next weekend.
I can't believe it's being played on Saturday. My mind is blown. They get a full week break before their games. I also really appreciate it from a just personal enjoyment standpoint, where we get to watch the entire first round of the tournament, or the first half of the first round on Friday, without having to think about the CU matchup and the CU game. So that for just selfish reasons, I'm happy they play on the second day, and also for one more day for that destiny to rub off of Georgetown.
Absolutely. I think that's going to probably wrap us up here for this first live show. So again, folks, before you get out here, we want to tell you about everything we've got going on. First things first, our bracket challenge. This is a members-only bracket. We'll be putting links on social and through the Discord. That way you can access it and sign up and register your bracket. We're going to have prizes for the winners for the DNVR Locker. It's going to be a fun time. We're also, again, we will be going live again after media availability. Give us some time to dive into these, this analysis and this matchup and kind of go from there. So we'll be doing another live show more specific, probably a little bit more structured since the tournaments or the selection committee isn't just dropping a bunch of information on us all at once. And then again, later on this week, myself, Justin, Henry, we're going to be going live every single morning of the first 2 rounds. That way you are fully prepared from a betting perspective, from a bracket perspective, all that different kind of stuff. So stay tuned to all that.
My goal right now before our next live show is to go watch Georgetown's last game, as much of it as I can, come back with some more analysis, actually have more of an idea of how CU matches up with this team. Not only this is a team on the opposite side of the country who the Buffs have never played in their history. So got a little bit of learning to do here before we talk about this. But yeah, we'll come back a little bit later with some more info on the matchups and, all sorts of good stuff getting ready for this CU tournament game. Justin, I'm very sorry that
I'm gonna go drink my stars. It's good.
That's okay.
I might not have that much to say on the next broadcast. I'm gonna be here crying, and they can come to me every now and then, and I'll just give you guys a nice little cheers and let you know I'm still alive. But yeah,
fair enough.
Life is
again,
pain.
That's gonna do it, folks. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ring that notification bell so you get an immediate alert when we'll be going live next. That's going to do it for right now. We'll be back soon. Thanks.